I built a recording studio from a beat machine that a crackhead gave my brother, and most people have no idea how it really started. So let me explain. So when I was 14 years old, my brother was out there selling dope, and some crackhead gave him a beat machine, and he was like, "Yo, look at this! This crackhead gave me. I ought to beat his ass, right?" And I'm like, "Nah, let me keep it." Yeah, because as a kid, I was curious. It was just me in the room, and he was going running the streets, and so I started making beats, playing around with it, and from there, my best friend LB, he pretty much started rapping on the beats. I started rapping, and we made a group. I can't remember the name. He gonna have to remind me in the comments if he ever sees this. And yeah, and so we started rapping, and then that attracted more people from the neighborhood to start rapping because they knew I could record the music. I was putting them on tapes, and so it was a cool thing to do. Share the tapes. We would make copies and share them in the neighborhood, take them to school, and all of that. And so, man, the word spread. So we had tapes that was like our side, but then there was music that was coming out the park too in Chesapeake because they had Yes Studios, a legendary studio where you had artists like Dane Dane, God rest his soul, rest in peace, Dane Dane. He was like one of the most brilliant artists from Chesapeake that I got an opportunity to work with at a very early age. They used to come to the crib. And so, yeah, I was recording at the crib. I had a Radio Shack microphone hanging from the ceiling fan. And man, we'd be proud in there. It'd be so hot in that little teeny weeny bedroom. Oh my God. Let's see who was in the bedroom. I don't want to miss nobody. You got to keep in mind that over the years, I've had Radio Ready Recording Studio for 15 years. But before that is a story. You know what I mean? Like my South Norfolk story is crazy, in a dope way. And yeah, so I was recording out of the crib. We was bumping them tapes. We would go to the mall, Military Circle Mall, and sell them tapes for $2, man, and making money. Man, and just reinvesting it back into what I was doing with the music and more equipment, getting better sound, better production. Because at the time I had a dream to have a Triton keyboard, and that was like $2,200. Crazy story how I got that. So I was saving money for a keyboard. So I went to the pawn shop. In my neighborhood, there was a pawn shop on Poindexter in South Norfolk. And so I went to the pawn shop, and there was this big keyboard, very simple and plain. Won't no words on it, but I knew what it was. I knew it was a workstation. Workstation meaning it was a computer built inside the keyboard, and you can program it to make your music, right? And so I'm at the pawn shop. I'm like, "How much do you want for this keyboard?" He says, $150. I get him at $150. The keyboard is worth $1,100. He just didn't know what he had. He didn't do the research. So that's not the keyboard that I wanted though. So I ended up selling that keyboard for about $700 to put it towards the keyboard that I wanted. So how I got the keyboard that I wanted, which was the Chord Triton, shout out to Chord, was I was working a job. Like after high school, I was playing ball for Oscar Smith in Chesapeake, and I didn't want to pursue basketball, even though I had an opportunity to go to play in North Carolina. But my thing was I fell in love with music, and I also had a presidential scholarship to Norfolk State, so that was a full ride to go to school anyways. And so I took the full ride, and I was going for entrepreneurship studies, but I knew I wanted to do music. And I already was doing my operation with music. And yeah, so I went for about maybe a semester or two, and I decided to pursue my business full time. So I started my company, and Man, I've done a lot. I did a lot. I had this website back when AOL dial-up disc was out, where you had to actually put a disc in there and connect your computer to the telephone and get on the internet like that. So uploading one MP3 file might take all night long. It was that slow. So you have to just set it and forget it. But I had a website which was pretty much a store. It contained all my beats that I would put into collections. It was called beatboxking.com, and I made beat CDs. I would put 24 tracks on a CD. It would be 8 East Coast style beats, 8 Dirty South type beats, and 8 R&B beats. And so it was a variety, and I put those online. So online did surprisingly well, and I have receipts where I was number one in the whole entire world for those categories: rap beats, R&B beats. Not number one for all of them, maybe not rap beats, but definitely top 10 in the world out of millions of sites, right? And so I'll drop my receipts shortly. And I was like one of the founding fathers of instrumental downloads on the internet. There was maybe one or two other people doing it at the time. And so I ended up getting downloads from people from all around the world. Africa, and I got the receipts. This stuff is in my storage. And I put them in little frames just to keep them over the years, because I was a teenager, you know what I'm saying? This is what I built. And I dropped out of school, and my parents was just like, if you are not going to school, you got to get a job. So even though I was doing music, I got a job. My first job was at a photo album warehouse, stocking shelves and emptying containers of crates and boxes and shrink wrapping things for $6 an hour. At that age, where my mind was at and what I was doing already, I was thinking like, you mean to tell me I'm gonna do all this work, this container of boxes from this truck? I didn't empty this thing out in about an hour or so, and that's only worth $6 to you. So at that point, it just like, oh my, this is not gonna work for me. So like, I started burning my beat CDs and riding around the neighborhood with my CDs, trying to sell them for $10. Because in my mind state, I'm thinking like, if I could sell one in an hour, that's better than being in that warehouse. So that was always my logic, right? So I worked the warehouse, and I saved enough money to get to the Cord Triton. I saved up $2,500. This guy had this nice red Mazda sports car. He was trying to sell it for $2,500. So I could have got that car, but I decided to spend that money on a Cord Triton. And this was like in December. I spent $2,500. The reason why I know it was December, because in January, the prices dropped to $2,000. And I feel like the salesman could have let me know that the prices, maybe he didn't know. But oh my goodness, I spent $500 more, and I worked that much harder to get my Triton, and then they dropped the prices the next month. And it took me that long to get it. So that was crazy. That was like $500 back then, as a teenager, and working $6 an hour. So my particular studio story was, I started recording from the bedroom. I took all the clothes out of the closet, and artists would come and record, and my parents were cool with it. They supported it. My pops even got me the game called MTV Music Generator, and so I was making beats on the PlayStation, and we could download it. Shout out to Zeke with the VIPs, man. He used to come to the crib. We would have a memory disc, and all our beats will be stored up there. And we take it to the studios that we can get into. And sometimes you gotta bring your computer and or bring your PlayStation and run the cables to the studio equipment. You know what I mean? But the thing is, you couldn't tell no different because I've been in the studio with people and somebody would come in there and be like, yo, what you made that on the Triton? At the time, I didn't have the Triton. And it's like, nah, this is the music generator, the PlayStation music generator. From me going from the crib, it got so crazy that I had to start looking for a building to contain this business that I was accumulating. I'm like 17 or 18 years old looking for a building. Nobody's taking me serious. Nobody, but I could afford it though. You know what I'm saying? And like, so I linked up with my man, M Rep. He's a car salesman now too. And I respect what he does because I sell cars too. And it's an art form and it has changed my life for the better. You know what I mean? Mental discipline and just that's another story too. But yeah, so I linked up with M Rep and we were doing Radio Ready recording studios. There was a time where I was recording in a crib he had in Ocean View in Norfolk. We had traffic going through there. And yeah, man, like, so he ended up, we were just driving by this random building on Church Street, and we seen a bunch of models walking in the building. And we just thought to ourselves, like, what are they doing? What's going on in that building, right? So we just pull over being nosy, we follow them in, right? A dude greets us and he's like, hey, what's up? What brings y'all in? And so I said, we're looking for a studio. So he said, yo, it's one on the second floor. What? One on the second floor? Word? Yeah, I'm gonna show you. And he took me. We walked up. This was on a Sunday. The building was empty. And he took me to the second floor. We took the elevator up. This was 645 Church Street. Radio Ready Recording Studio, 645. So he takes me up to the second floor, shows me this amazing studio. I'm talking about built to perfection. It's already got the glasses set up. You got like, it's a view of the parking lot, so you can just see through on the second floor. Yeah, it was super dope. You can take the elevator to get there. And so we got the contact information to the the property manager, and we were really pretty much the owner of the building. And it was the Willis family, Bishop Willis, Black family. They had a bunch of radio stations on the fourth floor, AM stations, and I'm sure that they're still doing their thing to this day. I gotta look them up. But yeah, the Willis family, and so we talked to Miss Chase. Shout out to Miss Chase, and we had a meeting, and she said, okay, and how much was I paying then? I might have started off at about $875 or so, but over the years it got up to maybe about $1,200 a month. And so, she gave us a shot. And then he was doing Rap was doing cars, so he kind of backed out, but he got me the building though. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of threw me the ultimate alley-oop. So Radio Ready Recording Studios was born. Come to find out, that was actually 103 Jam's prior building. And that first month, I had already had a contact list of everyone that had bought my beat CDs. I used to put my beat CDs in all of the mixtape stores with posters and my contact information on the CDs, so artists locally would call me to ask about the beats because they said it was a 757 number. So I had a list of artists. Every time I drop a beat CD, I'm calling my list of artists, saying, hey, I got a new CD. Shout out to J Hawk. So J Hawk is the person, a great friend of mine. We were working together at a contact lens company. This was a temp job of mine, and he purchased my first beat CD. my very first beat CD. So he took a chance on me. He invested in me, and I love him forever for that, man. And I still record him to this day. You know what I mean? Even though he's in North Carolina now. But yeah, for sure. Shout out to Jay Hart. And so, yeah, so from that whole process of Beatbox King, and I had a whole database of people that I was working with. I just said, hey, now I got a studio, guys. And so that first month, I made profit. I didn't even have to pay my rent out of my own pocket, so the AC won't even fixed in there. It was hot. We was sweating. I remember, man. My man, shout out to Mo, man. He from South Norfolk as well. He was like one of the first sessions too. He might have been the first session actually. Yeah. Mo might have been the first session. We was sweating. I don't know if you remember that, Mo. It was hot that day, wasn't it? It was hot, boy. But it sound, I had the gear in there. I knew what I was doing. It was go time. So, okay. So yeah, so like, yeah, like it just grew. It just grew. Like it went from one studio to then I met Dave. Dave was living in Young's Park, Roberts Park, somewhere like that, right? And he came over to the studio and he asked me for a job. So he was my first engineer. So I had enough space to where we built another studio on the other side. Yeah, so Dave was the first engineer, and that was my first experience with having an employee per se. That was pretty cool, man. Getting to the point where like it really grew to one room to now it's Studio A, Studio B, Studio C. Then in this room you got Industry Chaos on television on Sky 4. Shout out to Fatboy Films. I had so much motion before I knew what motion was, and yeah, and so like I grew, and 15 running for 15 years, man. It's a lot of stories. Man. A lot of stories.